Hi friends, it's Elizabeth and I am so excited today to talk about your health. If you're interested in upping your health and having a little zaza zoo with your health, today is the episode for you. I've got a wonderful guest today with Eliza from Miss Lizzy's Thyroid Support with us today to join in a conversation of how we can improve our health and live our best abundant life. Welcome Eliza to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk with you today.
Great. Can you share with viewers a little bit about what you do and a little bit more about your company for an introduction?
Sure. Yeah. So I have a company. I sell supplements specific to people who have thyroid disorders, and they're looking to try and bridge that gap and figure out what their mineral deficiencies might be, and find a natural way to help boost their thyroid function. Obviously help support their thyroid function. We don't want to make any medical claims. And of course, I always say in our business, we want people to talk with their doctor, and we can't give medical advice, but that's really the basis of our company, that we create supplements for thyroid support. And really that all started, the Miss Lizzy iodine business started because I had undiagnosed hypothyroidism pretty much my whole younger life. And then right after pregnancy, I was diagnosed with a thyroid goiter, which is a lump on the thyroid. And after that, that launched a whole big journey, and eventually ended up here in the supplement business. So I can explain more about why we make the supplements we do, why they're important for thyroid health, and that's a whole other explanation.
Well, how many people is it estimated have potentially thyroid disorders and may not know about it?
Oh my goodness. There's about 1 in 8 women will suffer from a thyroid disorder in her lifetime. That's a staggering number.
Yeah.
And what people are not really aware of is that iodine deficiency is a leading cause of thyroid disorders. And iodine, there's research dating back almost 200 years, which shows the use of iodine both in hyperthyroid and hypothyroid. So overactive thyroid and underactive thyroid. And so, yeah, it's a huge number of people. And it's one of those conditions that it can go undiagnosed, and that's a whole other conversation, which I can dive into, but that's how we have this huge issue with thyroid health, and people walking around feeling terrible, not knowing why. But one thing I found universally is that people come to me and they say, I know something's wrong, I just don't know what it is. My lab work all looks fine, or I'm taking medication and I still don't feel good. I don't understand why, but my inner instinct tells me something's wrong. And so that's always a great starting point for trying to help, pull apart the pieces and figure out, what research and information people need to start taking control of their thyroid health.
Yeah. Well, what are so viewers, what you're saying first and foremost is I have used your products about 18 months ago. I think it's been a while, and I absolutely am in love with them. And in fact, tried it earlier today, very much because it helped me so much, because I was exhausted. I mean, so exhausted. My hands were cold. Can you go through some of the symptoms one may be having? And I was on thyroid medication too. So I had worked with my doctor, but I had some symptoms. Can you share with viewers what some symptoms might be that they might be experiencing?
Absolutely. So those are the big ones. Exhausted, like doesn't matter how much you sleep, you wake up feeling exhausted, run over by a train, want to go back to bed. That's the first one. When people realize, like, hey, this isn't normal, all my friends have tons of energy, and that's what I was like in my 20s. And I just want to jump and say, I just turned 49, by the way. So yeah, and in my 20s, I felt like I was 49. I felt like I was 50, 60 years old. I felt like I had no energy. I'm sorry, no offense. There are people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who have tons of energy. But I just felt like this person who was run down, had no energy, I couldn't even keep up with my son. You know, he was a toddler, and it's so easy to dismiss how you're feeling and say, oh, it's because I'm a new mom, you know, oh, I can't lose the pregnancy weight because like, you know, I got in the habit of eating for two and now it's just like, I can't lose the weight. You know, it's so easy to assume blame and shame and feel like it's all my fault. And so I'm going to get back to your question about the symptoms, but I got on a little bit of a tangent about, you know, how these things can happen. So, you know, you feel like you don't have energy, cold hands, cold feet, even in the summertime. When I was younger, I could sit in a room that was 100 degrees without air conditioning and be very happy. I was afraid of the winter because I would be in pain, like my body would hurt from the cold. I struggled with my hair. You know, my hair was fine. It was thin. It just was lifeless. And there's so many more: dry skin, PMS, hormone imbalances, low body temperature. That's a big one. High cholesterol, low blood pressure, high blood pressure, arthritis. Oh my gosh, there's so many. You know, it's kind of incredible, the list that goes associated with thyroid disorders. But it makes sense when you think about it, because the thyroid is part of your endocrine system. So, you know, if metabolically, if something is not functioning, there's going to be a cascade effect across your entire body. So, so that's the basic list of symptoms. But you know, I can be happy to share more at another time.
It was interesting that you shared, because I had the same thing. I felt deficient. I was like, oh, it's within me. This is, there's something wrong with me, but like not in like, oh, there's something wrong with me. Like I may need to get some supplements or something like that. It's, and it's interesting going to that place. I find a lot of viewers do go to that place, that it's something inherently within them that's not going on, when it really and truly, even with medication and talking with my doctor, that I needed to take it one step further. Can you share then, so we have the problem, that's the problem, then what is our awesome solution? What are some things that we can do to help not be so tired, not have cold hands, not have hair loss and things like that? What are some of the solutions?
Right, and that's a great question. And you know, so there are a lot of different options. There isn't a one size fits all scenario, but there are important pieces to kind of pull together. And so that's why education is a huge part of my business. You know, and I also want to preface that by saying, I want people to take things that work for them. If something doesn't work for them, I don't want them to take it. I want them to know what they need. And so that's this education piece. And so let's break it down. So first, so how is thyroid hormone made? Your thyroid, it needs iodine to make thyroid hormone. And if you don't have enough thyroid hormone in your body, then that's when you end up on medication like T4 based medications. And that's the majority of what's prescribed. Sometimes that's enough and that works good for people, but the natural pathway to making thyroid hormone is iodine. Okay, so you have the first part, that's create thyroid hormone. And then the next part is converting thyroid hormone. And this is a huge one that I think a lot of people are not really aware of. And so think of it this way. If you have enough thyroid hormone in your body, that's like having a car that's full of fuel, but if you don't have a key to start the car, you're just stuck in the driveway. And so that key is conversion. And conversion takes place primarily in the liver. And in that process, T4, remember that a lot of medication people take T4, that gets converted into T3. T3 is what helps your car go. So if you can't convert, your body does something called creating reverse T3. So it basically like doesn't know how to process T4, turns it into reverse T3, and then people report that they have this situation where their lab work looks good. They're taking T4 medication, but they have all these symptoms of low thyroid. And so that might be a clue that there's a conversion issue. So then the question is, how does one convert? And so again, that process happens in the liver, and one of the important nutrients for that is selenium. And so that's why I made these two supplements, and they're really the flagship of what I felt a person with a thyroid disorder might want to look at if they're having trouble making thyroid hormone, and they're having trouble converting the thyroid hormone. So there's a whole host of questions, I'm sure, about the testing, who needs it. I get these questions. Are Brazil nuts a good form of selenium? That I'll dig into that, but that's the basics.
Yeah. So would one take selenium and iodine both together?
Yes. So it depends on the person. There are certain iodine protocols in communities who feel that if anyone takes iodine, they should be taking selenium in advance. That may or may not be true depending on the person. So let me explain selenium. There are actually 4 types of selenium, 2 that are inorganically sourced and 2 that are organically sourced. And one of the issues is that selenium can cause toxicity in the body. So obviously we don't want to take a problem and then make it worse by adding a selenium that's going to raise toxicity. So, and that's why when I was researching for my product ThioCell, I wanted to find the best possible selenium that would have the reduced risk of toxicity, but also be more bioavailable in the body. So that's part of the selenium process. Now, selenium helps to protect the thyroid during the thyroid hormone conversion process, which is really, think of it this way, like your thyroid, it's doing a lot of work, it's making these thyroid hormones, and then your body's, it's converting them, and you need to make sure it has nutrients to protect it from oxidative stress and free radicals. Selenium, having adequate selenium levels is an important part. So now the question is, what are adequate selenium levels? Yeah. So there are different modes of testing that different communities recommend. Some people believe that the RBC test, which is a simple lab test with the doctor, that will tell you if your selenium levels are in range. Those folks believe that it's best to be in range. So that's neither below range or above range. And if that is the case, then one has adequate selenium. If a person is below range, then they might want to do a high quality selenium before adding iodine. So there's more to the story.
I love it. So we were talking about, and I had asked you, I love talking with you because you're like an encyclopedia. You know so much, and it's so helpful with the education component. I love it. Fellow Nerds Unite. I absolutely love it because I think knowledge is power. People can go visit you. What's your website again?
It's misslizzyhealth.com.